Warning: the Lobo Show contains adult content, crude humor that may go against your religion, ethics, and morals. A perspective point of view you may never find your own. Viewer discretion is advised. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the unspeakable, the unpeachable, and the unreachable Lobo Show, the bipolar rock and roller podcast, the weekly, daily, topical politic and bullshit that hopefully you're still listening to. I am your host of this debacle of a show. I am Lobo, and with me, as always, is my producer, Heapsack. And ladies and gentlemen, we have a fun-filled, packed show here tonight for you. And like I said, we can't stress this enough. We appreciate everybody who's listening. If this is the first time you listen to the show, Lobo Show, we salute you. We thank you very much, and we appreciate everybody being there. We appreciate everybody liking and commenting. And for the first time, they say, "Hey, this is a great show. This is a good thing." And we appreciate the other people always looking out for us and shit. Because we've always been that tiny show, the little engine that could, if you will. But God damn it, if you this is your first time, well, you have to understand, though, we over here like to let loose and we like to talk about shit that we feel that is very important, that what's going on here. It's not your mom and pop's radio show, if you will, ladies and gentlemen. And apparently, if you want, speaking of podcasts, speaking of shows and everything, let's all fucking, the elephant in the room. We all know who's the top notch, who's the big dog of this whole thing. And it's not Alex Jones, ladies and gentlemen. I know I feel like I'm saying this guy's name every fucking time on the show. You know what I mean? But the guy, I'm not going to lie, the guy's like a fucking martyr right now. The guy's getting like banned from Twitter. He's banned from everything. But the only thing they're doing is he's just making himself more known and shit, which is fucking hilarious. But the guy that I want to talk about right quick is Joe Rogan. Right? Everybody knows Joe Rogan. Everybody loves Joe Rogan, right? Joe Rogan is a fucking household name this day and age. People don't remember Howard Stern. It was all used to be about Howard Stern and this whole craziness. And Howard Stern is the king of fucking media. Let's not get the wrong. If it wasn't for Howard Stern, there'd be no such thing as a podcast in some sense. He was the king of radio, and everybody knows Howard Stern. But now it's Joe Rogan. And Joe Rogan is fucking sick. The numbers that he pulls and the money that he gets for his fucking show, it's atrocious, but not in a bad way. It's just like when you kind of think about it, it's just like, holy fucking shit. This guy's making a lot of fucking bread to do what he does. Now, we all know the origins of Rogan. He's a comedian, sitcom guy. He's been in a lot of TV shows and stuff, and kind of was a LA comedian, the Comedy Store. He's known for that. And then obviously he did his podcast, and he kind of started out the podcast with, it was just him and his friends, like coming off after doing shows at the Comedy Store, being stand-up comics, comedians, and just bullshitting, just recording it, and it just grew a fan base, and it evolved to something that became political, not necessarily, because when Rogan would have his guests come in, he literally would just have them lay back and just chill. And Rogan's never did the, I got you kind of interview, or let's discuss this, let's discuss that. But Rogan became so popular now, and he has so much of a big following. And you want to talk about live streams, you could talk about like these other new guys, Ice Poseidons, or these other YouTube streamers. You've never heard of them. There's a lot of guys who are making real fucking headway. You know what I mean? In terms of YouTube, in terms of live streaming and shit, there's going to be a lot of those guys that just got a big fan base, and they're getting a lot of money for it too. But Rogan was always there in terms of the podcast and doing the interviewing, and his show evolved to in terms of a lot of viewers and live streaming. Obviously, I don't have to tell you guys anything new, but I just want to say this just for the people who don't know, right? And he interviewed a lot of important people, and Rogan is so laid back and he's so like chilled. He he's an advocate marijuana guy, and he's he definitely is a black belt in martial arts, so he's not like some slouch. He's just sitting back and smoking pot. The guy's he's a health nut, but he smokes marijuana. He indulges, and there are occasionally at times where he's interviewing his guests, and he pulls out a bong, he'll pull out a bowl, he'll pull out some rolling papers, and he'll start smoking and pass it to the guests, and it's up to them if they want to smoke or not. But here's the thing, ladies and gentlemen, this is what I'm going to talk about. This is what we're going to get into. He had someone on his show who probably everybody probably heard of right now, and this guy, it's probably one of the most popular people in the world. His name is Elon Musk. And everybody who knows Elon Musk, the guy who did SpaceX, the guy fucking literally, it's I would say the biggest innovator, the biggest, absolutely the Albert Einstein, if you will, not necessarily in physics and equations and shit, but the biggest mind right now is actually doing stuff. He's like the Mark Zuckerberg, but instead of like Zuckerberg with all the social media bullshit, he's actually trying to do some futuristic ideas. He's got this train thing. He's got planes and that literally is going to breaking sound barriers, if you will. He's a real smart guy. But here's the thing: Joe Rogan, popular guy, pothead, stoner guy. He had Elon Musk on his show, and a couple of things ensued. Sack, I don't know, man. You know me, I'm not the wordsmith over here, so maybe you can fill the audience here of what went down with this whole thing.
Yes, they had a live stream yesterday. And pretty much Joe Rogan, everybody knows his podcast, The Joe Rogan Experience. He and Elon Musk were there drinking whiskey, smoking weed. Elon Musk's company stocks seen a huge dip in value. The blunt was introduced by Joe Rogan after a long discussion about a plane. It's legal, right? Asked Elon Musk before taking a puff. The interview was conducted in the state of California, where marijuana is legal for recreational use. You don't need a medical card or anything. So, yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, well, it's like, I think to me, it's hilarious, right? And I don't know what the fuck the stocks are going down, and like Rogan even said it. Yeah, Rogan even said to the guy, he goes like, before he took a hit, he was like, I don't know if you can take a pull out of this, man. He was like, you got like shareholders and shit. And then Musk looked at him like, Elon Musk looked at him like, man, give me that shit, right? You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna play the clip of it right now so you guys can hear the whole thing right now. This is a little clip from the Joe Rogan Experience podcast 1169 with Elon Musk. I'm gonna just play a little clip of this whole debacle that everybody's talking about. And you know what's so funny about this clip that I'm gonna play too? It's like Rogan, like he's like, yeah, man, this is a blunt, he pulls out a blunt and shit, right? And the guy's like, Rogan's like lighting this up, and he was like, yeah, and he's like, what's that? He's like, is that a cigar? And he's like, no, man, this is a blunt. And he was like, oh yeah, I smoked that before. And if you listen carefully, Rogan goes, come on. Let me play this clip.
So is that a joint? Or is it a cigar?
No.
Okay.
It's marijuana
it's
inside
weed.
of tobacco.
Oh, okay. So it's like pot tobacco
Yeah.
pods.
You ever had that?
Yeah, I think I tried one once.
Come on, man. You probably can't because stockholders, right?
I mean, it's legal, right?
It's totally legal.
Okay.
How does that work? Do people get upset at you if you do certain things? There's tobacco and marijuana in there. That's all it is.
He's inhaling right now.
The combination of tobacco and marijuana is wonderful.
First of all, Joe Rogan, I'm to disagree. The combination of marijuana and tobacco fucking sucks. I don't know. Like I said, I know there's a lot of people like from like maybe like in the West or whatever. Like, I don't know, Lobo saying this is my opinion. I never mix weed and tobacco. But I think that's fucking hilarious, man. I think that, like, listen, man, to me, to be honest, first of all, Joe Rogan, big up to Rogan because the guy's smoking a blunt. He's bigging up blunts, and I've seen him lately. He's been smoking the blunt lately, and I'm a blunt guy. I smoke a blunt, too. So big up to Rogan for that. And listen, if you watch that clip, guys, on the Joe Rogan podcast, I think 1167, you would see that, to me, Elon Musk did not fucking even inhale. The guy is like the guy's a genius, smart kid. You know what I mean? He's definitely Joe Rogan's like the opposite. He's one of those cool guys, stoner guys. You know what I mean? So it's like two opposites of the world. So that's why even Rogan is like, come on. He's like, I tried that before. I'm not denying the guy tried it before, but come on, the guy probably took the one pull, inhaled, but even he said, he was like, you heard the clip, man. Like, it's legal, right? It's legal in California. What the fuck's the problem? For the stocks to go down? I don't know, man. What do you think, Zach?
That's why I mentioned that it was very weird to me. I think when you are in that position, as Mr. Musk is, you can't be doing that. Even if it is something you enjoy or, you want to embrace it. I just think you can't, because that will happen. You're going to lose value in the stock market.
You're 100% right.
History shows.
Yeah, but Elon Musk, maybe he's a guy who shouldn't be smoking marijuana. The guy's fucking creating
Definitely.
you know what I'm saying?
Tesla, SpaceX.
Yeah, maybe the last thing the guy needs to do is fucking do some shit where his brain cells are going to kill.
Do not do it on TV.
Nah, fuck that. You know what? I'm going to say this. Two things I want to say, right? Fuck that shit. Nah, because you know what? I smoke weed. Come on, Heath Sack. You indulge in the MJ. So it's like, listen, I get that, but the guy's not fucking like a public figure in terms of like, he's not like some president or some politician, right? He's Elon Musk. I get it. It's breakthrough, but I think maybe if it's really not his cup of tea, like, listen, it's not my cup of tea, but what the fuck? I can do it. This is America and shit. What's the big problem? No, I get what you're saying, Sack. Like, listen, nah, man, you put yourself in that position when you're like the chairman and shit, you're CEO, so you have to see that a lot of people will frown upon it. You know what I mean? But I don't know, man. It's like, do you think since this thing made a lot of fucking news and is all over the place, and Elon Musk is such a big character, do you think that and I'm asking, I'm not saying if it's right or wrong, do you think that Joe Rogan will refrain from smoking marijuana live on this podcast?
Absolutely not.
Definitely not. So you don't think like, you know what? You don't think that in some way that Joe Rogan feels a little responsible, like, you know what? Maybe that was a little irresponsible of me for doing that, because legit, let me just say something. With the stock tanked today, and this is Elon Musk in this shit, right? Now here's the thing, right? You have to understand that this is a big deal when you're fucking the chairman of your company and you're losing millions of dollars because a fucking interview that you did. It's like, now here's the thing. Obviously, Elon Musk is a big boy and Joe Rogan is a big boy. You're right, and both those guys are not apologetic of what they do, and nor they should be. But I'm just very intrigued of what the outcome is going to be. You're probably right, Zach. He probably is not going to do anything, and nor should he. I mean, in terms of like, I'm not going to stop smoking weed. I'm going to still pass the blunt and shit like that. But I know it's California, and I know it's legal and shit, but there's this thing, I'm telling you, man, there's this thing where there's these people, it's like, wait a minute, they're going to try to shut that down. I don't know if that's going to be like, I don't know how accurate that's going to be. That's just my opinion. I'm not saying that's right, but I don't know, man. These motherfuckers, I'm just saying that, like, they're making a big deal about the marijuana thing, and it's like, it really wasn't. And if you look, the guy wasn't completely token. And let's be honest, weren't they not drinking?
Yes, they were, but you bring up a very good point. Joe Rogan is responsible for this. He is responsible, because I'm not saying that he's putting peer pressure or anything like that, but he does have that environment. When you come on his podcast, you know what's going to happen. He's going to drink, going to smoke, and he's going to want to put it in your face, because he does. He's a big supporter of it. You're right. You're absolutely right.
He's like the cool guy, if you notice, like in high school, who like peer pressures you and passes you. See, first of all, I've always been the cool guy. You know what I mean? I get that, but I never peer pressured anybody. But you can tell Elon Musk was the fucking stuffed shirt. You know what I mean? Smart kid. But, he was kind of cool, though. He was a smart kid who still got laid. You know what I mean? And Rogan was the guy who was like, and you can tell he's like, you passing the blunt. Come on, that guy never took a pull off no fucking. And Rogan smokes that dank. He smokes that fucking sour. He smokes that fucking strong shit, bro. You know what I mean? So it's just like, I don't know. It's hilarious. Elon Musk, it's like, come on, the guy's not the president of the United States. I get it. And I tell you this, I like Elon Musk more than I like Zuckerberg. I'm not an Elon Musk fan. Don't get me wrong here. I'm not saying it's whatever with that guy. The guy's got a lot of crazy ideologies that I don't, whatever. His ideology on things is not mine. But I mean, I think the guy's kind of a cool guy. He's very cool. You think Zuckerberg, if Rogan was smoking on a podcast with Zuckerberg, cough. That's very unprofessional in radio. Cough, cough, cough button. But like I'm just saying though, you know what I mean, Sack? It's like I don't know. Like I said, Rogan probably is not going to stop. And Rogan's a comedian, dude. It's one of those things when you're a comedian, it's like you have to live by everything you fucking say and do. There's no apologizing at all. So we'll see what happens with that. Ladies and gentlemen, I want everybody to pay close attention to what's about to happen. I want everybody to put the kids away, strap onto the seatbelt, strap onto a lot of things, and brace yourself for what's coming. And that is the greatest segment in the history of all podcasts. Ladies and gentlemen, the nightly news with the Heap Sack.
WINS, WINS HD, WWFS HD3, New York. All news, all the time. You give us 22 minutes, we'll give you the world.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is Friday, September 7th, 2018, 71 degrees in New York City, and this is the Nightly News with the Sack. President Donald Trump calls on Department of Justice to investigate anonymous op-ed claiming that there is a resistance in the White House by the New York Daily News. President Donald Trump called on Attorney General Jeff Sessions to investigate the identity of an author of an anonymous opinion piece that claims that there is a resistance movement within his administration. Donald Trump, aboard Air Force One, told reporters that he believes that the critical column is a national security issue. President Trump said, if the person has a high-level security clearance, I don't want him in those meetings. Asked if he would take any action against the New York Times for publishing the piece, Trump said, we're going to see. I'm looking at that right now. He reiterated that it was a disgrace that the Times would publish the piece. The Times stood strong in the face of Trump's threats. We're confident that the Department of Justice understands that the First Amendment protects all American citizens and that it would not participate in such a blatant abuse of government power, the newspaper said. President Trump has raged to his confidants that a deep state within his administration is conspiring against him. He has ordered aides to unmask the writer as his top officials issued a string of denials. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo and Secretary of Defense Jim Mattis denied authorship on a visit to India. Interior Secretary Ryan Zink chimed in from American Samoa. In Washington, the claims of "not me" echoed from Vice President Pence's office, from Energy Secretary Rick Perry, from Administrator to Russia John Huntsman, from Dan Coates, Director of National Intelligence, and other cabinet members. Former New York Mayor Rudy Giuliani, now the president's attorney, suggested that it would be appropriate for President Trump to ask for a formal investigation into the identity of the author. Let's assume it's a person with a security clearance. If they feel writing this is appropriate, maybe they would feel it was appropriate to disclose national security secrets too. That person should be found out and stopped, Giuliani told the Associated Press. Senator Rand Paul called for the president to order those suspected of being the author to undergo a lie detector test. People are suggesting it, President Donald Trump said today. Eventually, the name of this sick person will come out.
Well, I know everybody wants to know who the leak is, right? Like, oh, who's the leak? Who said that? It's had to be a top official. First of all, I don't trust the New York Times and shit. I don't trust their fucking credibility and shit. Like, yeah, we have a credibility on an anonymous op-ed. An op-ed is, for anybody who knows, it's anonymous person with a lot of credibility who comes up to the actual the journalist and say, listen, you know me, I want to go off the record, but I want to fucking say everything I have to say, and you know that I have credibility, but as a journalist, you can't give me up because you have that credibility of being a journalist, right? Well, in this day and age that we're living in, that journalist has zero credibility, zilch. You know what I mean? All journalists are fucking duds in this day and age because it's like, they're chasing ambulances. Like when they say a shitty lawyer or a fucking shitty doctor was a quack, just shitty lawyers. So there's shitty reporters out there, and it feels like this is, in my opinion, that's what it is, right? Now, I think that right now in terms of this leak, they're assuming it's a guy. I mean, come on, it could be fucking Omarosa, who in the New York Times is blowing it up like it's a current cabinet member and shit. Get the fuck out of here. You know what I mean? And I know that Obama was coming out and saying some shit earlier about this whole fucking Trump guy. I'm not saying he didn't come out just literally just to say it, but I mean, like, what's going on here? Like, what's this whole fucking deal? Because obviously, I mean, like, this is a nothing burger. I mean, let's be honest, and I hate using that word. It's a shitty word to say. It's not a clever buzzword at all. But Sack, what's going on with this Obama? How does this fucking trace back to Obama and shit is going on right now?
Well, he did a speech today at the University of Illinois. It was pretty much just an attack on President Donald Trump and the Republicans, and he called on the Americans to, get to the box in November. Some of the stuff he was saying, like he was referencing the crazy stuff coming out of the White House. He was talking to these students, and he was telling them that he wants to see a restoration of honesty and decency and lawfulness in the government. This is a few of his quotes. "You happen to be coming of age," is what he said. "It did not start with Donald Trump. He is a symptom, not the cause. He is just capitalizing on resentment that politicians have been fanning for years, a fear, an anger that is rooted in our past, but is also born in our enormous upheavals that have taken place in your brief lifetimes."
Blah, 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 blah. Sounds like some criney, whiny bullshit. Oh, is he? Is he doing that? You know what? I get it, right? See, Obama is very eloquent. Don't get me wrong in the way he talks, but you know what that means to me? I'm a salesman. I'm from New York City. You know what I'm talking about? I work over here. I worked in the city. I've been a salesman my whole fucking life. A hustler, if you will. You know what I'm talking about? So this whole thing is like, okay, I get it. He's very eloquent when he speaks, but you know what that means? Is he's a bullshitter. He's a fucking bullshitter. He's a great salesman. Don't get me wrong. If Obama was fucking selling stock, I swear to fucking Christ, he'd be fucking bigger than Jordan Belfort. He'd be bigger than any fucking stockbroker you ever fucking heard of. The guy is the best bullshitter. But the Trump, see, like I said, Obama's eloquent. Trump is a jerk. Trump is brash. Trump is like very in your face. Trump is like me. I feel like Trump is like me. And Obama's like everybody else. Obama's like, hey, this and that. Nice suit, clean cut. The guy's talking nice. He's saying everything you want to hear. And Lobo's is like Trump. Lobo's is like, yeah, fuck all that bullshit. That's bullshit what that guy is saying. Or if that guy believes in that, he's a moron. And then they go, oh, well, but here's the thing. Then you get those certain guys who goes, yeah, I like that fucking Lobo. I like the cut of his jib. Just like people, I like that Trump because he tells it like how it is. Is he right all the time? Absolutely not. We're human beings. But there is a stance. And then when it comes to political, this is what I say, when it comes to being political, you have to fucking choose a stance or not. Don't choose a side at all. Don't be that guy who goes, well, I'm not into politics, but I will say this. Then no, we don't want to hear what the fuck you got to say in some way. You know me and Sack. You know what we do over here at the Lobo Show. It is political, but we definitely want to have some kind of conversational base here when it comes down to these situations. Like, what do you think? What do you think? Because here's the thing. I'm not here to fucking like, oh, yeah, let me hear what you think so I can smear you and I can push the mute button and let me say what the fuck I want to say. I can do that. But I won't do that. You know what I mean? Because that's stupid. That's dumb. And it's not going to get us anywhere. You know what I mean? And it's so funny with Obama where it's like I said, and it's not an Obama, like it's not, I'm just going to keep it a fucking stack. So tell me, like, if you think I'm saying what is wrong, but before Obama was going like, hey, I remember when he was like campaigning against Mitt Romney, and I'm telling you, I'm a political guy, so I kind of like pay close attention to this. And he goes, because Mitt Romney was running in that ticket. He was on a conservative ticket. Like, yeah, Russia, you're not doing anything about Russia. You're not doing anything about Russia. And I remember that even Joe Biden was like, dude, Russia's not a fucking problem. They're practically a third world country. They're nothing. You know what I mean? Like, why are you talking about Russia? This is stupid. It's absurd. And it's not productive. Right. And then now, Obama is coming out in this. I heard the speech that he says, which, like I said, is a very elegant speech. The man knows how to talk. I'm not saying the man is he's ignorant. He's very intelligent, but he's a hustler. He's a fucking hustler. It takes one to know one. So when he goes, oh, now he's going like, oh, Russia is the biggest fucking threat. How dare this fucking guy is trying to be friends with Russia? What's going on here? He's like, dude, you just said that Russia was a third world country. Like, these people are fucking hypocrites, and read between the lines and do your fucking research. Let's move on, Sack.
In other news, Nike sales surged despite storm over Colin Kaepernick's Just Do It ad by CBS News. Nike's new ad campaign featuring Colin Kaepernick, known for kneeling during the national anthem to bring attention to racial injustice, appears to have scored a touchdown with customers. From September 2nd through September 4th, online sales of Nike gear jumped 31%. That's nearly double the company's sale during the same period a year ago, according to Edson Trends, a digital commerce research company. There was speculation that the Nike Kaepernick campaign would lead to a drop in sales, but the data does not support that theory, the company said in an email. To be sure, the figures don't include sales at brick and mortar stores, but the digital sales boost may indicate that Nike's strategy is paying off by appealing to its core customers, more diverse than the types of customers who were angered by Kaepernick's participation in the campaign. Nike announced the ad on Monday, Labor Day, leading some consumers to destroy their Nike shoes, as well as boycott. President Donald Trump, a frequent critic of the NFL players who kneeled during the national anthem, criticized the apparel company on Twitter Friday, writing, "What was Nike thinking?" Nike, whose shares have dipped, is making a calculated gamble, marketing experts say. Nike took this route as its biggest representatives, including NBA star LeBron James and tennis star Serena Williams, have spoken out about police shootings of African American men and problems facing the Black community.
Dude, when it comes down to this whole NFL thing, it's very tiring and shit. I remember, me, back a year ago when we were doing the Lobo show. God damn, that was like one of the fucking fuels that ignited the Lobo shows. I remember when I used to do episodes completely, like I would go on 30-minute rants on American football, and I would get like fucking 20 dislikes. You know what I'm talking about, Sack? But then again, we got like 8 likes. I'm tired of it. I used to love football as a youth. I dislike it now a lot because of it. But here's the thing, right? Now, the guy who started the whole thing was Kaepernick, and it's fucking hilarious, right? Because at first I was like, man, fuck this guy, and trust me, fuck this guy still, right? But to me, it's like I don't care, and it doesn't have my attention anymore. It really doesn't. The NFL doesn't have my attention. But I'll tell you this, when it comes to Nike and all that, it's ridiculous to think that people boycotting or doing videos of burning their sneakers. It's stupid because the demographic of Nike are like, what, 18 to like 35? Younger people, even to the people like, all right, even in their 30s or they're over 25. I get it. They're older, but it's younger people that wears their gear, their sneakers, or their clothing brand, So for this whole thing, I will ban Nike. I don't want to do Nike no more because Colin Kaepernick and bam. Come on, pal. Those guys, come on. Believe it or not, dude. Come on. That's not, dude. No, nobody's gonna stop banning. Nobody's gonna stop wearing Nike. Nobody's gonna stop wearing their fucking sneakers. It's one of the most top 5 popular products in terms of consumer products. I'm not talking about social media, but in terms of consumer products that you can purchase in this day and age, that people are happy when they purchase. They're actually looking forward to coming out when they see this new sneaker. Look at ShoeTube, friend of the Lobo show. If he's listening, like I said, let me know if you're listening to this part right here, ShoeTube. You know what I'm saying? I'm talking about you right now. Come on, you think the fucking kids are gonna stop wearing Nikes and shit because fucking a bunch of people got a problem with Colin Kaepernick? Get the fuck out of here. This Colin Kaepernick right now is so popular and shit. This guy can run for fucking office right now. And I'm telling you right now, the guy he has a leg to stand on. I'm not ignorant. I'm not saying that I would vote for him. And to be honest, I think this is guys like that is fucked up. This is the shit this is what I preach all the fucking time. But this is America, you know what I mean? And to be honest, if that's what they fucking want to do when they fucking want to kneel and all that shit, it's trash, it's garbage. Listen, I know people that listen to the Lobo show that coach children. They coach kids and shit in football and Pee Wee sports. And he's telling me, Lobos, I saw your video on the Tom Brady. They go like, like I don't believe in kneeling. I know one thing for a fact. If one of my kids kneel, like one of their players, like one of my kids kneel, like that thumbs down to that. And I get that. I totally get that. But I gotta say this. I got to fucking say this. Man, this is America. If you're a coach out there, and I know that you're listening, buddies, if you're a coach out there and you're like coaching kids and some kid decides that's what he wants to do for some various reason, whether it's dumb and stupid or he's just being a kid, he's ignorant and he really doesn't know it. But if that's what he wants to do, let him fucking do it. Let him fucking do it. I guess one thing is like one of those, this whole thing, like I said, NFL, you can see ESPN and NFL, the ratings has gone dramatically down. Nobody cares about a sport that used to be the greatest sport of all time in America, in this country. Obviously, baseball, blah, blah, blah. Then that went down because of steroids, and then it was about football. And then, now that's shit. And then one thing about the NBA, why that's people is they're too political. The NBA players are very, very political. You know what side they're on. For Christ's sake, I think that in terms of the American people, we might have to look to Canada and start watching fucking hockey. Let's get the fuck out of it. Let's move on, Sack. Come on.
In other news, stolen ruby red slippers from Wizard of Oz found by FBI after 13 years by the Huff Post. There's no place like home or FBI custody. Ruby red slippers worn by Judy Garland in the movie The Wizard of Oz have been successfully recovered after the shoes were stolen from a Minnesota museum over a decade ago, the FBI announced Tuesday. The iconic heels, which the agency says are one of 4 known pairs Garland wore in the film that are still in existence, mysteriously disappeared from the Judy Garland Museum located in the actress' childhood home in Grand Rapids, Minnesota. In August 2005, in the middle of the night, an unknown crook smashed through the museum's back entrance and broke the plexiglass case that held the shoes, which were on the loan to the museum from a collector in California. There were no fingerprints or surveillance video of the theft. All that was left behind. The case eluded local authorities for years, but in 2017, someone approached the company that insured the shoes, saying that they had information on the slippers' whereabouts and how they could be returned, according to the FBI. When it became apparent to the Grand Rapids police that those involved were in reality attempting to extort the owners of the slippers, authorities requested that the FBI's assistance, explained Special Agent Christopher Dudley, who led the investigation from the FBI's Minneapolis division during a Tuesday press conference. Some of the slippery slipper thieves were busted during an undercover sting operation earlier this summer. The famous footwear, which the FBI claims are estimated to be worth several $1 million, were recovered. Soon after the slippers, which happened to be a mismatched pair that come in 2 different sizes, were examined at the Smithsonian's Institution's National Museum of American History in Washington, D.C., where another pair of mismatched ruby red slippers from the film had been on display since 1979.
Where did you learn your trade, you stupid fucking cunt, you idiot? Whoever told you that you could work with men?
Yeah, I guess that was a big deal. Wizard of Oz, I guess. I heard some fucking midget hung himself in that movie. If you watch, I don't know, there's you seen that shit, man? There's some midget in the background hung himself and shit.
I think I missed that one. No,
man, it's real, man. Yeah, absolutely, yeah. And that whole thing was fucked up. Wizard of Oz and shit in the background, during the whole filming and shit. Dude, the midgets, let me tell you something. The midgets were very touchy, and they were on some sexual harassment shit. And I'm telling you right now, if you look at I know nobody's going to fucking do the research, because who would want to watch, research on Wizard of Oz? But if you do your research, they say that the fucking midgets were very touchy with the ladies that worked there. And the ladies, I mean Julie Garland and the fucking broad who played the witch. Who was your favorite Wizard of Oz character, Sack?
Well, the Tin Man was interesting. I liked him, and the lion.
The Tin Man. What, he had no heart. What do you like about him?
Yeah, well, that was funny, right? Because the old like symbol of the lion, right, is like the lion. It's the heart. I got more heart than anybody. The king of the jungle, all that. And then he's such a coward.
Right.
Yeah, and then like those trees were talking. Yeah, the movie was. I guess it was a breakthrough for its time.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I tell you this. I don't remember Wizard of Oz, but I tell you this though. I remember The Wiz with Michael Jackson and Diana Ross. Ease on down the road. Yeah, exactly. I'm from fucking New York. I remember that shit. And fuck Wizard of Oz. I liked it. The Wiz. That was my shit. You know what I'm talking about? Come on. You don't remember that? You don't remember The Wiz, Sack?
It's not very familiar to me.
You don't remember The Wiz? It was Diana Ross, right? And I think instead of a total, she had a fucking pit bull. And she was just walking down the road. And Michael Jackson was in it, And he still wasn't getting laid.
I remember that. Yes, I do remember because they were together.
And more importantly, Mr. Nipsey Russell was in there, and he played the fucking Tin Man, and Nipsey Russell fucking ruled. Let's move on, Sack.
And finally, 22 years ago today, rapper and actor Tupac Shakur was shot several times in Las Vegas, Nevada, after attending a Mike Tyson boxing match. Tupac was riding in a black BMW with Death Row Records founder Suge Knight when a white Cadillac sedan pulled alongside and fired into Tupac's car. Knight was only grazed in the head, but Tupac was hit several times. He died in a hospital a week later. Although Tupac's killer was never identified, some believe Orlando Anderson, a member of the Los Angeles gang Southside Crips, was responsible. Earlier in the evening, prior to the Mike Tyson bout, Anderson had been attacked in the lobby of the MGM Grand Hotel by a group from Death Row Records, including Suge Knight. When a videotape of the attack came to light, Knight, who was out on parole at the time, had to return to prison to serve out a 9-year sentence. Suspecting revenge as a motive, Tupac's mother filed suit against Anderson for her son's death, but the case was never resolved because Anderson was shot to death in May of 1998 in a shootout outside of a Los Angeles car wash.
Fucking unbelievable. Let me say this about Tupac Shakur. To be honest, I think that when you want to talk about profound artists out there in terms of a musical genre, people that absolutely had a message and who are the epitome of people that died too early, absolutely Tupac Shakur has to be in the Mount Rushmore of it when it comes down to it. And it's unfortunate that this day happened years ago. Tupac Shakur, for most young people who may not know, because I understand that, music evolves, man. Music evolves so much that now it's not about what it used to be, and which is okay. I'm not a hater. I'm not a person who doesn't believe that. I believe that if you can't go with the time, then you should just move along. But Tupac music was timeless. Tupac is a music to this day that still speaks to the youth, in my opinion. And man, you have to truly understand, for anybody who's like listening to this, understand what he has done and the shit that they had to put him through. You have to understand this guy was targeted, man, for many different types of people and shit. Just to, they were really trying to put this fucking guy down. Now when it comes down to the charges that he had, when it comes down to it, like I said, time will tell when it comes down to these things, but you know how this goes, man. When you're a celebrity and you're a person was putting yourself out there, you're going to get the grunt of it. And I just want to say this, when it comes down to Tupac, man, and it comes down to the era of rap music of the time, Tupac was absolutely genuine, man. This guy, when it came down to rap music, now I know they had your rock and roll in the past and your country music, which I'm not knocking. Like I said, I love Waylon Jennings, I love Johnny Cash and shit. But you got to talk about rap fucking music here, right? And everybody who listens to this fucking show, I'm telling you, everybody's got a favorite rap song. And if you got a favorite rap song, put it in the comment section there, right? But everybody's got a favorite rap song. And I'm telling you this right now, in that demographic, if you're like fucking 18 to like 40 right now, who's listening to this, you have a favorite Tupac song. Tupac was gangster. Tupac was like the first true gangster rapper. You know, obviously you got your NWAs and you got that, but Tupac was the guy who came out, said the most gangster, thorough shit, and he was, you know, and the women liked him because he was a good-looking guy and shit. You know what I mean? But the guy stirred up mad shit. He stirred up a lot of beef, and his story is very insightful, very insightful. You know, the kid came out of the projects. His mother was a radical Black Panther. That's what they would call her. His aunt is literally on the FBI list and shit, hiding out in Cuba. So most people think that Tupac is still alive right now. He never died. But in my opinion, I don't want to go into that right now. I like to talk about who Tupac was and what he did and the legacy that he left behind. And I think that it was amazing. I don't think like back then in terms of hip hop music, it was all about lyrics. It was all about lyrics. I'm not saying that music is not about lyrics now, but it's very different. It's not all about lyrics now. It's about, you know, little music, little this and that. Back then it was like fuck the beat, the lyrics. The guy could rock on any fucking beat, and you give him a lyric and he'll fucking do it. And Pac was a guy. It's so weird. He wasn't a battle rapper. He wasn't a guy like Eminem. He can go over there, you know, just blah blah blah, start battle rap. Pac was just a storyteller. He was a person who would just talk and you just listen. And it wasn't cool to like Pac because everybody was liking Pac. It was cool to like Pac because you actually listened to what he was saying. That was cool about it. Talk about poetic, and you talking about a troublemaker, like I alluded earlier. Man, the guy, the East Coast versus the West Coast beef, the war that they had in rap, the East versus the West, New York versus California. You know what I mean? That's what it was. Tupac incited the whole thing. He incited the whole fucking East Coast, West Coast beef. Now, I'll tell you this, man. Personally, I'm from New York. I love Biggie. Biggie's mine, dude. Biggie's my fucking guy. Baby, baby. But let's not get it twisted. Pac is from Brooklyn, and Pac is a guy that, you know, originally was born in New York, but then he lost love for New York. A lot of things. He got shot up. He didn't like what happened there. He felt like some snake rat shit happened up there in New York, and nobody had his back on it. So he had to turn his love for New York. What do you think, Sack?
Yeah. It's funny you mentioned that. He was shot 5 times in New York, a recording studio. I believe it was in 1995. Yeah. He is everything that he claimed he was. To me, as advertised, you know, you get no bullshit with Tupac. You know, but the shooting in Las Vegas wasn't the first time he was involved in some violent encounters. I mean, this guy got into a shootout with 2 undercover cops. You know, people got to remember who he really was. He lived it. That thug life tattoo.
Yeah, definitely. He was thug life. And he was thinking, I'm telling you right now, when it came down to all the other shit that he got the shootout, the cop, I'm saying right now, that wasn't his fault.
No, it wasn't. You're absolutely right.
That was Pac. Right. You know, that was Pac. Like, Pac was that real shit. Like, I see a bunch of guys shooting at me. He's going to shoot back. And I can't believe that, to be honest, that Pac lived as long as that he's lived. To be honest, like, dude, yeah. Listen, man. Look, I want to say one thing. Rest in peace to Mac Miller. Today, he died. Mac Miller, the rapper and shit. And I know a lot of the young guys, they like him and shit. I'm a little bit old school and shit, Sack. You know what I'm saying? We ain't, you know, I'm not even 30, bro, to be honest. But I feel like I'm OG at heart. I've been raised by OGs my whole fucking life. You know what I mean? So when Pac is OG all day, but this Mac Miller guy and shit, I don't really bump his music. But I was talking about it today. I was like on Twitter. I feel like I broke the news. At work, I was with these bunch of these young dudes, and I'm like, "Yo, you heard Mac Miller died?" And everybody was like, "Yo, get the fuck out!" Like I was lying, like it was April Fool's Day and shit. You know what I mean? But it's like it's weird. Like now these kids, like they die of overdose, but back then, like the rappers and shit for our time with Tupac and Biggie, they died of a murder. They were murdered. You know. And it's like,
yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. And let me tell you this though, when it came down to Pac and Biggie and shit, I love the whole story, man. Like Pac, Pac. Most people don't know this, right? Tupac is the one who brought Biggie to the limelight, if you will. Biggie was always like, you know, underground rapper, and Tupac was a guy who had the credibility. He was already established, and he brought Biggie to the scene. This is a known fact. They were friends. They were actually best friends, which makes the whole thing fucking weird. This is a great story that has been told a million times, but it's just like I just don't feel enough people has gotten the fucking point. You know what I mean? But they were friends. They were like best friends. Um, Tupac completely blames Biggie for being shot, maybe through jealousy. Tupac was in jail. He couldn't even afford to bail himself out. His bail was like over $1 million, and to him that was embarrassing. He could not. He had a #1 hit single, literally on the charts, and and around the world, not just America, around the world. And the guy couldn't bail himself out, and this is why he signed with Death Row Records with Suge Knight. So Suge Knight comes along. It's like, hey, look, man, I need you to come sign this contract. I'll give you $1 million. Not only I'll bail you out, you can get out of jail tonight. I can fucking give you $1 million in your pocket. And he signed a contract on a napkin. This is a true story. And here's the thing, right? This was the only person who offered this artist. He's an artist, mind you. Can you imagine? This is the only guy. You would think that people would be knocking down the doors like, hey, listen, sign here, sign here. He was the only person. Pac was rotting in jail for months before Suge Knight came and offered this contract. And he did, and he took it. He shook his hand with the devil when it came down to it. And the rest is history. And it's unfortunate how the thing ended. Now, some people say Tupac is still alive. I hope he is. I really hope he is. I like to believe that, but I also truly believe, I feel like as a fan, I know Tupac so much that if he truly was alive and he was hiding, I think he'd come out. He could have came out like 5 years ago. I think it's over. I think we should stop, come on. Let's just, are we going to say, oh, Tupac, if he is still alive, he's 70. Come on, let's cut the crap. But Biggie and Tupac, it's poetic. It's almost Shakespearean in a way. It's a very sad thing. Best friends, guys who started out with nothing, literally, and then they end up being dead. Very poetic, very smart, captured everything. Man, Tupac. What was your favorite? My favorite was like ambitious as a writer, top of the head. But I would have to say this: my favorite album. Now, everybody can say, Tupacalypse Now. Everybody can say, Me Against the World. My favorite was Machiavelli. And I know that was the most recent before he died. But Machiavelli, to me, I felt was so fucking poetic. I felt that it was so like he almost was telling his death in some sense. This is why the conspiracy guys go fucking nuts about it. But I love Machiavelli. You, Sack?
Well, I'm more of a fan of Tupac before he really blew up. My favorite song by him, it's a little unknown, but it's called Soon As I Get Home. Yeah.
I liked the death song too, like how many victims, it's that rest in peace, yeah, there's a heaven for a G. That one too, man. Tupac was fucking amazing. And it's unfortunate, man. That Mac Miller guy too. That's another thing. Like, it's unfortunate that these it's weird.
So young, 26 years old.
26 years old, man.
Rest in peace, man.
Rest in peace, Mac Miller. It's so fucked up that in a way, like now, like back then, these guys were getting murdered. Now these fools are just fucking taking pills to the death. So obviously we see that there's a fucking problem there. You know what I mean? And it's just like it's fucked up. I don't know why they're doing it, man. There's so much admiration out there. If people love you so much. Man, to me, I don't know, man. If I got like one person legit that's loving my content, you know what I'm saying? I don't know. To me, that gives me joy. So it's like I don't understand for a guy like Mac Miller or you know what I'm saying. All these other guys are taking their lives and shit, and you got so much admiration, man. It's unfortunate. But rest in peace, Mac Miller. Rest in peace, Tupac. Rest in peace, Biggie Smalls, man. Man, but shit. Yeah, I know you see her, Sack. I know you see her, so we're gonna get the fuck out of here. I don't even want to acknowledge her anymore. I swear to God, she's a sweaty pig. But fuck yeah, she gave me the middle finger right now, Sack. She's a sweety pig. I know she's a sweaty pig.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Oh my God. I think I'm gonna get fired fucking tonight. I swear to God, I might get fired tonight just for that line. Ladies and gentlemen, that was the nightly news with the heave Sack. There he is, folks. Ladies and gentlemen, he's got to leave because the pig is fucking her tail got curled. Wave to him, folks. In all his glory. Segment 3, The Lobo Show. Welcome back. Lobo, Heapsack in the motherfucking building. What else is new, ladies and gentlemen? We're just kicking it over here, man. We got some time left. They're fucking allowing us a couple of more minutes and shit. Sack, I just want to get off a fucking thing here. I got to get off something on my chest, you know. There's a I don't know about you, right? I'll tell you. People ask me all the time, "What's my hobby? What do you like? What do you do on your downtime?" And my hobby is women. I like broads all the time. I like the dengue broads. I like all types of broads. You know what I mean? And you know what I'm talking about, Sack. I've seen you too, and I know you got your conservative AM radio station. That I should plug right now. You want me to plug it?
You don't have to, but if you want to.
Yeah, I will. I will fucking plug it. Listen, guys, if you don't know by now, Heapsack does radio shows called Sack Chat. Sack Chat. SACKCHAT is a very clever name, but it's a conservative Jewish radio show, and he's been doing this for years actually, and it's not on YouTube. He doesn't do YouTube. This is AM radio, right? And
That is correct. Yeah.
that's correct. It's Sack Chat. He talks about conservative Jewish radio stuff like Solomon and what I mean.
Yeah. I mean, you pretty much nailed it. We cover like different recipes. We cover what's going on in the communities. We try to keep a little bit in touch overall. Globally, not just community wise.
Right.
So yeah.
So okay, Sack Chat. But here's the thing, right? I noticed that every time I met some of those guys in the studio here, and I bumped into them. I gave them the fist bump, whatever. They refuse to shake my hand. But it's like, why don't you want to associate that show with the Lobo show?
Well, I've been doing that, like you said, for years now, and that's kind of its own little tree, and this is its own, tree. And I figure, once new like this show will branch off, and there will be, new additions and stuff like that. But that
Hopefully.
is such a different, it's such a different genre, if you will, than what's going on here.
Well, I get you. Sack Chat. I'm not gonna lie. I see that you like. I'm not gonna lie, dude. First of all, you're the greatest producer in the history of all fucking YouTube, in my fucking opinion.
Thank you so much.
No.
You're too kind, boss.
No. Let me tell you something. Without Lobo, without Heapsack, there is no Lobo. Without Lobo, there's no Heapsack. But then again, Heapsack does his thing. I try to, I do my thing too. People don't know. I try to give him. I don't try to give him too much, But I love these people, right? But it's like I feel like nowadays it's just like I'm only catering to the people that truly listen. You know what I mean? And Sack, I'm saying you've been doing radio for years, dude. So you know how that goes. And you're the one who you're the one who mentored me, man. You're like my mentor. So Sack always told me before, he's like, I know you're doing that YouTube thing. And Sack does radio. He doesn't, he don't get all that YouTube shit. But he's like, dude, you're doing great and all that shit. That's what I'm trying to say, man. Like you're like my mentor and shit when it comes down to this whole thing. But I'm not gonna lie, man. I'm not a personable person. You know what I'm talking about? I'll give anybody the benefit of the doubt and shit. You know what I mean? Any day of the week. And I'm always up for a debate, but I'm not up for arguing. I'm up for a debate. But sometimes I feel like there's always a hidden agendas with people. You know what I'm talking about, man?
Oh yeah, big time.
Yeah,
Especially when they see, like stuff. I mean, it really depends. I can typically read a person really quickly.
Right.
And it's funny that you mentioned, like I was telling you, because I remember when I met you, I was like, man, it would be really cool waking up in the morning and, hearing you doing radio, because, having a bagel with some coffee or something.
I know, man. I know. You know what? It's so funny that people they look at it, it's like, oh, you guys are like a different match. But I'm trying to tell you, this guy, Heapsack, if it wasn't for this guy, this is nothing. This Lobo show is like whatever. You know what I'm talking about? And we all know we know each other personally, me and you, right? But it's like I'm not gonna lie to you. This guy right here is the one who gave me the idea, gave me the opportunity, and he allowed me to bring my own staff along in some way. You know what I mean? I know that you don't tolerate the virtual head, and there's a lot of more people they're gonna have to meet, but you allow me to do and create my own show. So I really appreciate Heapsack. So it's like one of those things, man. This is like the Lobo show This is my producer, Heapsack. And I know, like I said, they look at a show like ours, like, 1 hour and 14 minutes. Not interested. You know what they do? You think I don't see the analytics? You don't think I see the watch time? Don't fucking tell me you listen to the whole show when you saw 7 minutes of it, pal. Oh, YouTube doesn't lie. I love the fact when they say YouTube lies. Oh, come on. Come on, buddy. YouTube doesn't fucking lie. All right, Heapsack, what are you in the mood for, man? What do you want? Pizza? What do you want?
Yes,
Scongilis? No, you pick tonight. I want you to pick tonight.
Yeah,
Come on.
definitely something Italian.
All right, good. Because I'm not gonna lie to you. If you said potato pancakes, I would have fucking X-nayed on that
Well,
shit.
there's nothing wrong with potato pancakes, but
I'm just saying I'm not in the mood for that right now. No matzo balls, no potato. Not tonight. You know what I mean? Don't get me wrong, ladies and
salmon?
gentlemen.
Okay.
No salmon. I'm not a seafood guy. I mean, let's eat some beef. I mean, come on.
That's true.
I said this is why I like the pasta in some way, because I know it's safe, and I know you rarely eat cheese, so it's gotta be certain ways. But I get it though. They're like, what are you gonna do, ladies and gentlemen? This is the podcast, Debacle Show, Lobo, number 91. Hope you like the thumbnail. Superman and shit. Action Comics number 1. We love everyone, especially the broads. Heapsack, you got anything to add on?
No, sir.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, like, comment, and sub, or don't. Follow us on Twitter at The Lobo Show, or don't. Say goodnight, Heapsack.
Good night, Heapsack.